I'm State Representative Antonio Parkinson, and you are back for the Tennessee Black Caucus Weekly. And we are excited this week. We have a superstar on deck. And I am so proud of this young lady. She is a fairly new legislator, and she is none other than State Representative London Lamar. State Rep London Lamar, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good, man. And you cannot match this energy. This is great energy, and she always carries that energy and that passion, forth with her legislation. And, State Rep London Lamar, I want to just let the people know, a little bit about yourself. But before we go into, things about you personally, I want them to know your title now, because you are a superstar, and she is
I am your House Democratic Caucus Secretary, and I serve as the Shelby Delegation Chair.
Shelby Delegation Chair, that's a big, big deal, because the Shelby Delegation is the largest delegation, or the largest group of members, that's the delegation.
Absolutely.
Group of members that are elected to serve in the Tennessee legislature. Right now, is that Republican and Democrat, or Democrats, which is it both? Tell us a little bit about the delegation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. The Shelby Delegation is the largest delegation that serves in the legislature. And what it does, it encompasses all the representatives and senators who represent any part of Shelby County, no matter if you're Democrat or Republican. And so I'm able to chair many of the initiatives that are being pushed to support Shelby County. We come together as a full delegation, regardless of our political party affiliations, to ensure we're working on behalf of Shelby County and our citizens can get the resources they need.
That's awesome. So Shelby County consists of Memphis and Arlington,
Collierville, Millington, Germantown, Lakeland, and many of those suburban areas. So Shelby County has 7 cities inside of it. And so we want to make sure that we are connecting also with these local government entities, such as the city of Memphis, the city of Germantown, the city of Collierville, and the other municipalities in Shelby County, to ensure that the state of Tennessee is working on their behalf, and we can work together to make sure everybody in the county is making sure they have the resources and services they deserve.
That's a pretty big responsibility.
It's a big responsibility,
Right.
But at the end of the day, this role as a representative is a big responsibility. And this passion and love I have for my city of Memphis and the surrounding areas is exactly why I'm serving and decided to take on this role, because I truly believe that we deserve a chair who's going to bring energy, passion, and thoroughness to this role, and that's exactly what I'm doing as Shelby County Delegation Chair. And I'm so thankful that my Republican colleagues nominated me to do this role. What it shows the city of Memphis that while I'm a Democrat, I have the ability to work across the aisle and build strong relationships with my colleagues so that we can get things done.
And that's vitally important. And I got to look in the camera when I say this, because I don't know if y'all are feeling the energy that's coming from Representative Lamar, but she epitomizes, strength, energy, common sense, intelligence. And I remember meeting her way before she was elected. I don't know if she was intending on running at that time, but I saw her make a presentation, and I told her she has star qualities, and I've always stood by that. So Representative Lamar, tell us a little bit about your background, where all of this comes from.
Awesome. So, hey, everyone. I represent District 91 in the city of Memphis, and that includes Whitehaven, parts of South Memphis Pine Hill, South Memphis Castellian, and half of the Cooper Young area, and parts of Parkway Village as we go out east. I got into this role because I remember my family used to talk about politics when I was young. I used to see my mother and grandmother really value the act of voting. And so that's something that manifested in me, is seeing good values in my family when it came to civic engagement. And so when I was a senior in high school, at 17 years old, I witnessed Barack Obama become the president of the United States. And that was very, that changed my life, to see a black man be able to take the highest office of the land. And that made me feel like I could do it as well. And so I went to college, pursued political science. And once I graduated and got involved and started putting my feet wet in politics and lived in DC and did the whole thing, I came back to Memphis and saw there was a void. I saw that as we are pushing politics, there's no one who represents my generation. And as elected leaders, we are in these seats to build the next generation under us, and we have an obligation to ensure the next generation under us can thrive. But if we don't have representatives at the table, then we can't come up with a comprehensive agenda of how we push society forward to work with everybody. And so I created the organization, the Young Democrats in Shelby County. I built this organization to be a vehicle for young people to become politically engaged. And I've been able to do that not only on the local level, but on the state and national level. And from there, I took the time to really get involved with the issues that I valued. Education, women's rights, healthcare. Those are the things that I worked on prior to becoming a legislator. Worked on policy, getting parents in impoverished communities to get more engaged in their children's education, ensuring our policy is working for everyone and that everyone has the right to free and equitable access to healthcare services, and that women have complete autonomy over making decisions about our body. And so because I had the opportunity to work in those fields, I brought those values to my role as a legislator. And when I decided to run when I was 27 years old in 2018 for this seat, I committed to my district that I would run on three things: strong schools, healthy families, and safe communities. And I'm proud to say, when I look at my legislative agenda from my previous session and now, everything that I push for aligns with what I promised my district, and that will always stand for strong schools, healthy families, and safe communities.
That's awesome. So we're going to talk about your legislative agenda in just a second, but you mentioned so many things, and I had so many thoughts running through my head as I was listening to you speak. But I want to touch on this. You mentioned your generation and having representation and being at the table. How important is mentorship in that space, in making sure you getting here and you thriving and becoming the great representative that you're going to be? And let me be clear. You are a great representative right now, but you haven't even seen what's coming.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think mentorship is something that's very, very important because I see it from two perspectives. One, from the perspective when I didn't have it and when I really needed it, of, looking for women in this political field or men in this political field to truly help me build myself as a person without their own personal agendas involved. And so that gets very complicated being involved in politics. People always have their own agenda. However, what I have done was making sure that having a mentorship relationship is a twofold situation. It's not something where you expect everybody to give to you and just mentor you and pour into you, but you have to pour into other people as well. So you got to make sure that you can find somebody that you can connect with. Y'all are on the same page and you can build each other up in the process. Because I remember there's one piece of advice my mother always talked about. Fred Smith always said. He always said that if I was scared to hire people better than me, then I'll never thrive. And so that is what I think about a lot of times with mentorship is you can't thrive and become a better person if you haven't had people in your circle who've been there, done that, can tell you what's right and what's wrong. And so now being the youngest female in the legislature, period, I know I look up to many of my seasoned legislators to educate me and mentor me on the process so that I can be an amazing representative for my district and my generation and allow us to continue to build a strong society for our community. And if we're not building a bench through mentorship, then we're doomed to fail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And even, just adding to that, for those, because I went through kind of the same thing that you went through when I was a community leader, and we had what I always use the term, we had the streets sold up.
Right.
Right. And what I mean by that, for those that don't understand the urban vernacular, is that we were on the ground, but the people were with us already. I mean, we're doing just as much media as any elected official and fielding constituent calls, but we weren't elected. And I remember going to some senior elected officials that weren't necessarily from the area I was from, and I asked them for their support. And it was basically like that agenda that you just spoke about. It was basically kiss the ring, and I'm not a ring kisser or anything else kisser for that matter.
We're not doing that, okay?
Ain't nobody going on player. And look, and so what it did was it forced me to go and it encouraged me, fired me up rather, to go and create my own space. And in creating that space and just building on what we had in the streets with the people, they really, it became a draft to elect Antonio Parkinson to that space. But what I learned from that, Representative Lamar, is I'm not going to be that person that those individuals were. Because I believe, number one, I am not going to be in this seat forever. It's not my intention. Number two is We have to groom the next generation
It's
to
imperative.
fill these seats, and there has to be some continuity. And so when I look at yourself and other young elected officials, especially those that I've had a hand in being involved with, I'm thankful. I'm thankful because I think the world of y'all, and y'all smart. The trajectory is amazing, and but we got to have those people that can say, hey, chill out for a second. Just let it breathe for a second. Then we'll come back to it. Slow down. Go fast, push hard,
right.
Run your legislation now, get it out the way. Such just those that instructional stuff that make you a better, or make us a better, legislator.
And there's something that you said that I really want to give attention to is being authentic. And one thing I've struggled with, and many women who are watching you struggle with, is people are trying to determine what our womanhood should look like and who we should act like as a woman. And one thing I am very strong about is bringing my whole self and who I am and my personality to this work. Us being able to use technology to connect and have conversations with you like right now, but also being able to be ourselves and inspire and be authentic. And that is what the people are looking for. We are not you do not have to be perfect. You do not need to come from a two-parent household. You do not need to be a straight A student. You do not need to be all of these things they think that you need to be. You need to be yourself, have a good heart, and have a passion for the people. And if you have those qualities, you will be an amazing leader, or whatever leader in whatever field you want to be in. Just be yourself, be authentic, and just do the right thing the first time.
It's interesting. You don't get me started on that, because we've had many conversations in this regard about being authentically who God wired you to be, and there's something that about that authenticity that it feeds charisma. People want that. And I tell people all the time, the reason why Trump had so many people following him is because he was authentic. He was authentically mean, but he was authentic. That's who he was, right? Tupac, the rapper Tupac.
Absolutely.
The reason he drew so many people was because he was authentically who he was, and he was passionate about what he cared about and the things that he cared about. And I think this thing translates into politics. We saw it from Michelle Obama. We saw it from Barack Obama. People want the real deal. I remember this, and I told you about this. I remember my handlers when I was first elected. They wanted me to, look a certain way, wear a suit this way, be a little stiff, and speak this way.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Okay.
Man, look, that shit lasted for every bit about 39 seconds. and I was like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this. I have to be who I am. And I'm so thankful to my constituents that they accept me for exactly who I am. And so, and yours as well.
Absolutely.
And
thank you, District 91.
Right. So look, let's real quick, let's talk about your legislative agenda. What's in store for this year?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. When I talked about some of the things I promised my district I will work on, but right now we have some great things moving. On Monday, my doula resolution to recognize doulas as vital medical professionals to prevent maternal infant mortality deaths hits the House floor. Right now, we also have moving is more a bill around human trafficking to ensure human trafficking victims have the self-defense clause in the criminal justice system. We also have a bill moving headed to calendar of rules that's going to allow teachers to take human trafficking training once every 3 years. As we know, human trafficking strategies evolve with technology, and the game oftentimes change so they can outdo law enforcement. So they need to know the signs when they're interacting with these students. Also, I have a bill that's moving that is going to allow law enforcement to record via video or audio all interrogations of juveniles. We want to make sure juveniles, there's transparency and integrity in the process, and this is something both law enforcement and people in the community will be able to benefit from. I also have a bill to decriminalize 1 ounce of marijuana. What we know is one of the biggest barriers is keeping African Americans in jail is this unfair war on drugs that has proven that it doesn't work. The war on drugs doesn't work via London Lamar. So those are some of the things that I'm talking about. But other bills that I'm working on is getting lead out of schools, making sure we have a strong lead testing program for our children so our children are not drinking unsafe drinking waters. And I'm doing some more work around maternal health, voting rights. I also have a bill that's moving to ensure that women in prison are receiving mammograms, and that's also headed to the floor as well. So we have a very aggressive agenda. Our legislative agenda is moving quickly, so I'm very excited about that. But stay tuned for more.
Yeah, and there appears to be a common theme around a lot of your legislation in empowering and supporting women and in health. And as most of you know, I will keep branding this until I'm done, is our strategy for the Black Caucus: education, health, and how do we put money in the households on the table. So,
absolutely.
But you got a lot of stuff around health and around women.
Absolutely. And one thing I do want to point out, people expect you to try to do everything.
Right.
What I say is 99 of us in the Capitol. I'm the only woman of childbearing ages in the State House. There are many of us that take on all different initiatives, and I'm going to focus on the things that I know I can connect with the constituents the most. And because I'm the only woman who can really understand the significance of the bills that are passing that impacts my health care, I feel an obligation to articulate and push that legislative agenda, because you don't have another representative who can literally start a family right now. And if I'm not talking about it, who's going to talk about it? And as we know, it's always African American women who are on the negative end of all of these medical outcomes, and it's about time we bring those issues to the forefront and make some strong policy changes to improve those outcomes.
Hey, London Lamar, y'all. London Lamar, make sure you tell everybody, how they can get in touch with you, what your social media is real quick as we wrap this thing up.
Absolutely. Perfect. You can follow me on Twitter at Rep Lamar, on Instagram at London Lamar TN, and on Facebook at Rep London Lamar. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and follow the Shelby Delegation. She's the chair. It's at Shelby County TN. It's at SCTN Legislators on Twitter. So follow that, and on Facebook also. Hey, I'm State Representative Antonio Parkinson, and this has been your Tennessee Black Caucus Weekly. Make sure you hit us on social media, TN Black Caucus. And we out. London, way to go. Way to kill it.